tonight, welcome to our first man and woman conversation discussion.
Yes.
And my husband and I, we plan to do this more often, as the Lord leads us. But since we have started our ministry in marriage, we have been getting so many persons reaching out to us via Facebook, phone, otherwise, and so we know that we're not able to reach everyone, like meeting up with them and giving them counsel or little advice, because we don't deem ourselves to know everything or to be 100% experts in the area. Every situation is different.
Yes,
every marriage is tailored different, because we're all cultured different
and socialized differently.
Right? So we don't claim to know everything, but the little that God has taught us, we want to share and to save some marriages, right? So many persons are jumping ship when trials come, just when they're about to even get their breakthrough, just when God is about to change things in their marriage. They are not able to discern the ways and the tactics of the enemy, and they give up. We are a testimony of endurance, right?
Of the grace of
and
God.
of the grace of God, right? And that marriage can work. It can work if we trust God, right?
We trust God, and it is also work.
Yes, it is a lot of work. So you can't go into it thinking
Expecting
that
it's going to be smooth sailing.
Right.
What I've learned over the years, and it's become more clear to me now, babes, as I think about it and as I've allow myself to grow more, even knowledgeable on the topic of marriage, that it's there to help you to grow.
in the spiritual walk.
Precisely.
It's one of those places where God purifies us and makes us into, the real vessels of honor. So we want to look at, why did I get married? Why did you get married? What do you look for in a partner? And we want to examine how do you deal with, when you're in that place after marriage and you're wondering, did I really make the right choice? So we want to look at that. So the first thing we want to look at is, how do you make the right choice? Because some persons are watching, they're not yet married, or they're in the courting stage, right? And they may be wondering, am I on the right track? Is this the right person? What are some stuff that you need to look for? And when we were having our discussion prior to this video,
Yes.
my husband, we looked at one of the key things, and that is to know yourself.
But before we go any further though, we're going to be joining in prayer right now. Do you want to really ask the Lord just to be in the presence of everything?
So, as I was saying earlier, we are looking at the topic, why did I get married? And we are looking at, how do you select? So for single persons or persons in the courting stage, how do you make the right choice? And if you are married and you're questioning if you have made the right choice, what should we looked at it? One of the first things to make that choice when you're choosing someone is to know yourself.
Yes, to know yourself.
It's very, very important that you know yourself. Often we dive into relationships and we dive into dating and all of that. We don't even we don't date ourselves first. We don't know our likes, dislikes.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, it is really important for us to know ourselves, because the thing is that, so many times we tend to lie to ourselves, not be honest to ourselves, especially when it comes down to choosing a partner.
Right.
So many persons, because they want the person to like them.
Right.
So instead of allowing their values to be something that, they hold to, what you find
they
out
lower
is
their
that they lower their
values
values
just to
so
get
that
somebody.
they can get somebody to like them. And that is one of the things that I realized. That's why one of the first steps is to really know yourself, because, for example,
if you are, for example, babes, if you are a believer,
yes,
and you hold your value in terms of Jesus Christ is placed in your life, is paramount, then you cannot afford to put this value as okay, I can take a man or a woman that is not a Christian.
Yes.
Because when you look at the place that Jesus holds in your life, then you really can't compromise that.
Exactly.
That is what we're saying, that there are certain values in your life that you should say, I can't compromise, even if I really want a man or a woman.
Exactly.
And so many times persons, because they don't get to know themselves and really appreciate who they are, they just drop their standard just to get somebody, just to be with somebody.
And as you talk about that, the person that you might be looking for to marry, that person might not value the same thing that you value.
True.
And so there you have a problem, because if that person is not seeing things from the same perspective or the same vision, then what you're going to find out is that in the long run, if you have not know yourself, if you have not discussed it, you're going to find it yourself being miserable.
Yes. And I'm going to, he's giving the more theoretical part. I'm making it practical. Yes. No man, that's fine. Be yourself. Be yourself. So what we're saying is that, so for example, you are passionate about God. You're somebody who is passionate, like Georgia, about purpose. And then you get a man who not really passionate about purpose, or him just did it, just a live him life, him just a do him 9 to 5, and him just want to live. You're gonna have conflicts. He may be okay in some areas that you can work with, but because these areas are so important to you, you just can't compromise it. And so it is important that we know ourselves, we know our likes, our dislikes, we know what is our pet peeves, we know what we're going into marriage with, we know our deal breakers. That's one question that I posted on Facebook. We know our deal breakers, we know what is it we say to the person. This is how far I will go, right?
Because if you go beyond that, then the truth is that I'm going to be broken. Yes, I'm going to be broken. If I'm broken, it means then that I will not be able to continue.
Right.
And so that's why it comes back again that we really need to know ourselves, because you can pretend for so long and and no more. Because eventually, you see, when you actually get into that place. Yes, when you actually get into that place, where it's no more now you getting to know the person, but you guys are married, right? Then you find out now that boy, you really wasn't able to really deal with some of the problems, but because you weren't honest in the first place to yourself. Right? Then now you and what
so the man say more 4 pitney, you already decide that you want 1.
Yeah.
But you say to yourself, I'll work with him because you love him.
Yes.
But then that is not enough, because when you get into the marriage, there are certain decisions that you cannot make merely because you're feeling an emotional connection. You have to be true to this person and be honest. I really want 1 child and you want 3. And I will give you the 3, but I really want. You see, if you don't have that discussion after you have discovered who you are, then you get married, and then the person will be like, don't you love our kids? And I love our kids, but I never really do want so much pick me. And the man like, I didn't know that. That's true. So it's important that you have that discussion.
And not to as we were here talking, what came to me there is the fact that when you're not honest to yourself and you pretend, you're being unfair to the next person. Because here it is that this person believes that you're okay with everything.
Right.
And then when
you're
you
okay with sex in the tree.
Yes,
and you're really is not a sex in the tree type of person.
Exactly.
Right? You're just the
you are just
missionary, right? Praise the Lord. Right. So you understand what I'm saying? You have to be real with the person. You have to be true. Exactly. You can't pretend. If you're a freak, that we're being honest. If you're a freak, you gotta tell a person that you have some freaky thoughts and let them know what you're thinking. But if you go there pretending and then you're not fulfilled, that is not being true. So know yourself and tell the person who you are. Point number 2 is be patiently prayerful about it. And we're talking about how to make the right choice, right? Be patiently prayerful. Patiently. See the key word? Patiently prayerful.
Yes.
Want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, so many times, we tend to always talk about, the Lord says that, this person is the one for me. And you know, we tend to, because we are seeing everybody that around us is getting married. Probably our best friend is getting married, and you know, the whole church is getting married.
Right.
And so we feel as if, well, you know, we need to at the same time, you know, proclaim that we're getting married. So instead of waiting on God, you know, we tend to, you know, shortcut the thing. And so we say that, you know, somebody might approach us, or we might approach somebody, but because we were praying about it, you know, but we are predetermined what God is saying before.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when God is saying, when
Yeah.
God is saying that, you know, just be patient, sometimes we don't even hear from God, but our anxiety to want to be married, you know, allow us to make choices even before the time. And so we end up getting ourselves in a lot of problem as a result of that.
Because we believe, honestly, that this is something that we have had a discussion about. We believe that we were made for each other. We believe that it was God's will. But we did confess that we believe that the timing wasn't the best timing. So that we have had that discussion that we thought the timing wasn't the best timing, but you know, it was definitely God's will. So you know, it is important that you wait on God's timing. We know that God is able to work miraculously even when we don't go according to the plan, but it is always best when we go according to the plan, because the pitfalls that come, you know, sometimes persons don't play the pitfalls, but trust me, we all have to pay for those pitfalls that we make. And what we're doing now is to help some persons not to make the pitfall, because too often persons say, you know, I want to learn from my own mistake, I want to learn, I want to grow, and no. The wise person learn from his mistakes, but the wiser person learn from other person's mistakes. Don't go down the road and make the mistake that, you know, somebody's coming and saying that, listen, don't go there. So what we're saying is, when you're choosing somebody, be patiently prayerful about it, and ask others to help you pray. Right? Ask your friends to help you pray. Ask your pastor to help you pray, or some spiritual leader that you confide in. Ask them to help you pray. And we can't emphasize. I can't emphasize enough about really praying about your life partner. Yes.
Because you know,
it's not one of those decisions that
we know, especially as Christians, prior to what we are seeing now in our time. You know, if we really should just look at what the Bible said, we know that, you know, when you get into marriage, it is not a maybe it work, it is that it have to work. Right? And so that's why we have to be very prayerful about this thing, and patient as well. Because when you get into that, you know, in other words, you should be saying to yourself, there is no way out of this.
Dr. Miles Monroe said that after making the decision to serve the Lord, the next decision that is almost a destiny shifter, that decision that really can cause you to end up in heaven or hell, is the choice that you make in terms of a life partner. It is not one that you should take lightly, because when we had our conflicts and our issues, it almost cost us our souls. Because you know, you're bitter, you're angry, you're so many things happening in you as a person that you can't even pray. Sometimes you're even saying, God, how could you do this to me? Can't you speak to him? Can't you speak to her? And there's so much anger that this can push you into heaven or hell. So it is not something for us to joke about. So when you are prayerful, God will answer. God will answer. Because even before I married my husband, I was dating somebody before, right? And when I was dating that person, you know, him hot, him look good and thing, and everybody thought he was the person for me, you know, because he was from overseas and all of that, and you know, people, your family thing said, yeah, I'll get green card and thing, and there wasn't anything wrong. But because I was patient, I mean, we even got engaged at my church. So, and I remember,
and I was still praying.
Yes. And dying inside.
And I have some friends that was really praying.
Eventually somebody came to me and said that, listen, this is not the person for you. And I continued to pray, and I continued to pray. And I mean, we were far in. We were like engaged. So, you know, pastor pray over the ring and bear things. And even at that point, God pulled me out. So I'm saying that when you're patiently prayerful, God will save you the drama.
Yes.
He will. He said the steps of the righteous are ordered by God, and though we stumble, we will not be utterly cast down.
Yes.
That is every person marriage that has failed. I mean, like, that is not the will of God. They will tell you, they will confess that they had signs, that there were signs, but they ignored the signs.
Yeah.
And I say, if you have signs and you're not sure, just wait.
But
Never, if you're not sure, just wait.
But the scriptures also said that, that a wise man
Anna.
seeth the evil
The wise man, right? See the
from
evil
afar
from
and
afar.
hideth himself. But
Right.
the fool see it and walk by and is destroyed. It's very applicable, to scripture, because guess what happened? If you see the signs and you decide that you are going to ignore those signs, then trust me, whatever it is that is going to come in that marriage, it's going to cost you a lot.
It's gonna cost.
It's going to cost you.
Another third point when you're trying to make the right choice is to seek counsel.
Oh yes.
Our generation is too puffed up. Like, we think we know everything.
Yes.
We're married almost 12 years now,
And
I still go to counsel.
counsel.
I still like to talk to persons that have been married for longer than we are, like older folks. We talk to them, and when we even if they're saying things that we know already, I believe that they may be saying it a different way that I may not have analyzed it that way. So I listen, with an attentive ear. We don't act like we know everything. We don't know everything. Okay, we know everything. We're just like 30 odd, like persons are here longer than us, 60 odd. They would have gone through certain phases.
And not only that, men, look at it this way. No matter how much you believe that you know your wife, when you come in tomorrow, you recognize that you really don't know her. Yes, because you start to complain about this and that. You think that, you're actually doing what she was saying that you're supposed to do. And then you find out that you're not doing certain things, right there?
Yes.
Exactly. So
because in a special, I'm kind of special.
You see, I believe that God when He took out the rib, He take all of the sense of man and put in the woman in it.
That is true.
Yes.
I believe that too. I believe that.
But the Bible said that there is safety in counsel, safety in the multitude of counseling. Because what happened, as we were discussing, we were saying that, for us, we went through a lot of counseling. We're still going through counseling now.
Right.
Our pastor, our friends, when we did not understand each other, we consult a lot of counsel. Our friends came and counsel us,
right.
And tell us, boy, listen, man, this is the way that, how you're viewing it, is wrong. How
right.
she's viewing it is wrong, and what we need to do. And we go through sometimes.
There were different seasons, because
Exactly.
you remember there was one point when, it was our pastor that was up with us,
Oh,
counseling
gosh.
us for hours.
And I'm talking about some 12 o'clock.
Right.
The next morning.
Yeah, we can't
Right, from
deny
7 to 12.
our
Babes, you remember sometime to even some of our brethren them coming at the home
to pray for us.
Pray for us.
To pray for us.
And leaving the next day as well.
Yes, yes.
So trust me, we know
because
what
one
it
of the
is.
things that was my husband was very, very private,
Oh God.
but I was very outspoken. So he's an introverted extrovert, kind of. He's more on the introverted side.
Yes. No, extrovert.
But I'm an extrovert. I'm very outspoken and all of that. So when we have issues, I'm not saying that this was done correctly all the time, but sometimes I would go and talk to persons that I deem to be close to us so that we can get help. I was never the person who would just say, boy, I'll just go and hold it and bounce it. No. Because as the man and woman conversation logo, as what we stand for, quality over quantity. Quality supersedes quantity. I don't want to say I'm married for 10 years and it's 10 miserable years. I want it to be 10 good years. So even though we have had many issues, I still think it's 10 good years, because it's years that I have been transformed totally. And one of the last point is allow yourself time to build a friendship with that person.
Yes.
Because the Bible says a good tree cannot bring forth corrupt fruit, and a corrupt tree cannot bring forth good fruit. So let me tell you something. God is, sometimes persons make it look like God is this, He never show you and demand. No. That's not the type of God that we serve. If we are prayerful about certain things, He will speak to us, but we must be attentive. And if you're unsure, me always say, once you feel any form of unsurety, just take it easy. No matter rush it. So allow yourself time to build a friendship. I think one of the things that really, you know, caused me to choose my husband is when I was... you choose. I know you choose. All right, you choose.
I'm just saying, you have to go according to scripture.
Yeah, all right. Well, when I say no, accept the choice.
You were just mesmerized by my handsomeness.
Why I decided to go with him is because we were friends, and when I was dating the other person and we were doing counseling, the gentleman said that you have to marry your best friend, and in my mind immediately my Kemar came up as my best friend. So I was like, okay, marry this, so Kemar can't be my best friend while I'm with this guy. And all of that was happening in my mind, and I was like, oh God, this is not going to work. And so there was a big struggle. At the time I had feelings for Kemar, but it wasn't so overwhelming. What was really bothering me was the fact that he couldn't be my best friend anymore. I would have to be having the other person as my best friend. And when I felt that there was this tug of war within me as it relates to him being my best friend, I started to think about, who do I really feel comfortable around? You know, when my daddy was in Jamaica and we would have, you know, I would feel sad about something, or, you know, he would come to the house and we would pray together, or, you know, or through my mesmerized, or, you know, different things. I'm saying, who do I really feel comfortable around? Who is the person that I say that I don't like this about myself, and then he'd say, you know, you're still perfect, you're still beautiful, or them like something there. Who was that person that could have come here and see my dirty foot, and, you know, see when everything is not perfect? And immediately that person that came up in my mind was Kemar. So I was like, no, he has to be the person, because he's my best friend. And then every day I feel like my best friend, you know, because the other day.
Anyway, I don't know what you're talking about now, but you know, and you know, as you said, you know, build a relationship, a friendship with the person, because you know, one of the things that is important is for you to be able to talk to each other, because so many marriages now don't have that. You know, the marriages are based up of just an emotional aspect.
Right. It has to be a choice.
So you must have friendship.
Right.
And it's not a mistake thing, because sometimes we believe that, you know, the right person is somebody that, boy, you know, God is just going to say, oh, this person is the one, oh, and a great light is going to come from heaven, and, you know, thus said the Lord and all that. No, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's not, it's not a mistake thing. Right? Because God is not going to override the good desires of your heart. So if it is you like somebody that is fluffy, or you like somebody that is slim, you know, or you like somebody that is outspoken,
right,
you know, God is not going to override your desire.
Not that we're not saying that sometimes
it
you
does
don't
happen.
know.
Yeah, you know, because we cannot put God in a box, you know.
Right.
But oftentimes we're not honest with each other. We're not honest with each other about the choices of marriage. Because, and then when it is that we find ourselves in difficulty, then we start to blame God.
Yeah, but you know, I'm sorry being to cut you. Because you know, you get the theory part and then me I make it practical, right?
Man.
Because I remember even, you know, as we're talking about God overriding, I have met persons that, you know, have been attracted to me or whatever, and they had money, or but they didn't attract me. Like, they were spiritual people, them loved the Lord. I mean, I talk about guys who were, you know, anointed and appointed, but I wasn't sexually attracted to them. I really wasn't.
And I mean, you know, as much as we're a spirit,
you see that handsome man, right?
We love the tranquilo, you know, who tie my tie and who tie my shoes. At the end of the day, we have to remember, after we come down from heaven, that we are going to need to be able to relate to each other. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about today, while I was listening to, you know, I think it was T.D. Jakes, and he gave an illustration. You know, he said, one of the things that we need to understand is that even after when God made man, he made man to have relationship. He said that, when he made man, and as much as God increased the presence of God in Adam, the Bible said that, it's still not good for the man to be alone.
Right.
And so God created the woman.
Right.
And so you see the importance, Virgin. So even though you're so high up in the spirit,
Yeah, you still have to.
that when you come down, you're going to realize that you're going to need to be practical.
Right. You're going to need somebody you're attracted to. You can't just, if you're not attracted to the person, then it can't just be straight spirit. The person is getting, you love how them pray, or you love how, no, it has to be more than that. You probably love the fact that they're caring towards others, or you like the fact that they may cook well, or you may like the fact that they're nice to the elderly. You must be able to point out other things apart from the fact that them Holy Ghost feel and them shake and them. It has to be more than that. It has to be more. One of the things that I liked about Kemar when we were dating is the fact that I didn't watch how he treated me alone. I watched how he treated other girls. Because I don't want somebody who is just nice to me. If you're nice, you're just nice. If you're a nice guy, you're just... And if you care about persons, you will care about persons irrespective. So I would watch how, if sisters, we were left late at church, he would ask the other brothers to walk, and they all walk home with sister and ensure that the sister reach home, and then they would go home. He would never walk alone, but he would, a group of them, but he would always make it a point like, boy, his sister can't go by herself, and all of that. So those things that I looked at, like, okay, he's just a caring person. It doesn't have to be because he likes me. He's just, that's just his nature.
Apart from your good looks, your pretty looks, yes, watch there. I think that I believe that that caused you to win my heart was the fact that you were genuine. You genuinely care about people. When you're in the public, and even when I'm peeping and you don't even know that I'm looking. Okay. Yes, man. How you're just a very, very kind person. What persons can testify about this, about Latanya McLennan? What you see is what you get, and I can tell you that is a fact. What you see is what you get, and that was what caused her to win my heart. Even now. But it's from the fact that she loved the Lord. She does, and that is one of the number one thing. Because when
we had like passion.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that is important, because when both of you are on the same page, there is no unequal yoke.
Yeah, because you can be unequally yoked and still be Christian, because one person is very passionate about God and the other person just barely want to make it at the gate, right? And you will want to go to the throne room and bow down before God, and the person just want to make it at the gate. That can really cause a conflict in marriage. But then we want to look at reasons why persons get married, different reasons: for love, for money, immigration purposes, sex, to please family members, church members, fear of getting old, and status. People marry for different if you're gonna get married, it should be for these reasons. It should be for love. It should be. It should be because if you know that you have very strong sexual desires. When Paul was writing to the Corinthians about burning, he wasn't saying, boy, if you know say your body a job, just go take a man or go take a woman. No, what he was saying is that if you, after assessing yourself, like we were saying about knowing yourself, know that you have a strong sexual drive, and you know that, boy, you want sex, then he's saying you need to be intentional. You need to be proactive about getting somebody. Right.
In other words, it's not something, you see, it all comes, you can't, when it comes down to this thing, you can't pretend. If you are not a eunuch, don't try to be a eunuch. Right. Because guess what? You're going to get yourself in trouble. If you know that you have a high sexual drive, then you need to start praying, you need to start putting things into place. So that you are able to get that person and marry her. I'm talking to you as men now, and also the women, so that you can prepare yourself that when that man comes, you are able to get married.
Yes. It's not something that you should take lightly. When Paul was writing, he was saying, listen, saints, if you know you have a burning issue, pray about it. It's not nothing for feel cute, but from I was very young, I knew that I had a very high sexual drive. So we are all.
No, I'm just talking about myself.
You know?
You think I'm talking anyway.
So I knew it was something that I had to really pray about, and I prayed about from early.
Yes.
God, do make me get a man quick because the situation is very dark. And the Lord was good. I got somebody early at 22, even though the timing, I think we could have waited some more, but all things are perfect in God's sight. When I say perfect, I mean that He's sovereign. So even then, He works out His purposes and so forth, you know. And when I say burning, I mean I was controlled burning. When I say burning, I mean that if a person who is wild, meaning that you want multiple, no, you have an issue. That was not what Paul was talking about.
No, man. He's talking about, high sexual drive.
Right.
To just be,
a
layman term.
Lust and just
we can go down in the Greek and the Hebrew right now, but, it's just plainly put
if you,
high,
sexual drive. Right. So if you are wild and you mean, you're like driven by lust and all these things. When I say driven by lust, mean that you're overly lustful. You just want a woman and you just want a man and you just come like you're mad. Then that's not burning and wanting a partner. It means you need help. You need some help. And you marry for companionship.
Yes.
Right? As we're talking about being friends. You got to be real with the person. You got to be. I mean, we know that friendship takes time. You're not going to grasp everything same time because there's still things that I don't like about this gentleman right here. Right? No, there are things that I'm still learning about him. Even after almost 12 years, there are still things I'm learning about him. There's still things that I can't stand.
Yeah, there are still things that when I look at it and I'm saying that, boy, God, I'm already in this already.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to have to love it.
Yeah, like the other day when we had a disagreement, it was a little ongoing thing. And then, I don't remember what it was, but we had a little disagreement. And then, we were saying, we kissed each other and we just said what we said.
Oh, yes.
I don't like you right now.
That made my day, that made my morning, trust me. Because, here is it that I thought that, boy, we were still in a place of tension. And when she called me back when I was heading out to work, and she said, "Oh, you didn't say anything." I said, "Yes, I said that I'm leaving now." And then she said, "Come and give me a kiss," And I said, and she said,
I said, "I don't like you right now, but I love you."
And what did I say?
You said, "I don't like you either, but I love you."
No, that's not what I said. You say you hate me.
Yeah, I said I hate you right now, but I love you. No, I didn't say that. You're not going to tell me what I said.
I don't remember.
I said I don't like you right now, but I love you.
But I said something profound.
What?
I said something profound.
All right, Shakespeare, because me no know.
I said something profound. I don't remember, I think I never stopped loving you, right? I don't remember though. But it was very profound. Yes,
Yeah, so we said that the point is that as you grow in the friendship and in the companionship, you're not going to love you see, the thing of what I am learning is that when I'm honest about where I'm at, when I just say this, I don't like this, or like even the other day when I wasn't seeing eye to eye with him about something, as it relates to church and going out, and then my boss a prayer, because the place was getting so tense, and the argument was coming up, and everything was just getting so heated, and I didn't know what to do, so I just started to pray out real loud, like, "Father God, in the name of Jesus, come into this situation right now, God." And he's there saying, "God not hear you."
Yes, God, I did. Well, you know what?
But I kept praying. And then the peace of God took over, and it was just like...
Listen, and it shows also growth, Normally, after she finished prayer, she would have continued talking. But I guess, maturity, we are maturing,
Yeah.
And it is a blessing.
It's not easy when they don't want to hear what you're saying, It can be a real...
And it's not always easy to hear what they are saying.
Whatever. Know that you're married. You're all into the thing, and you walk down the aisle and everybody was there and you said, "I do," and you're in the marriage and you're saying, "God, what the heck is this? Like, what did I do?" Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the first couple months you're happy, you're like, "Woo, you're the person for me."
Oh, yes,
and then you just be like, "What is this? What do you do when you
Why did I get married?
Why did I get married?" And what did you say, babe? That's not the time to ask that question.
In other words, no, the time to ask that question is too late.
Right.
right? You should have been asking that question before you got married. Why should I get married to he or she? Right? But when you are in that place now where you are married, it is not time to ask, why did I get married? The time now is to find a solution to the problem that you're facing.
And sometimes when we ask that question is because we want to give ourselves an excuse to leave, or to make things easier for us. You know, we want to make it seem as if something is wrong with the other person, or just to find a quick way to jump ship.
Yeah.
Once we begin to doubt marriage, we're indirectly giving ourselves a reason to boycott the relationship.
So true.
If you are married now and you're wondering why did you get married,
that is the recipe for failure.
right?
You know, when you start to ask yourself that question, that's the recipe for failure.
Why did I get married to this
Because
person?
what happened now, you are harboring doubt in your mind.
Right.
And you know there, and oftentimes in the past when we had our disagreement, and we know that it was God's will,
Right.
but yet still we are facing hard times.
Right.
You know, we are facing
We start to question if it's God's will.
We start to, well, I didn't really question that. I didn't really question that still, just to be honest.
I know.
But when you start to ask that question, you are actually inviting the enemy now to bring all kind of doubts now. And instead of finding a solution to the problem, you are giving the enemy now the opportunity to say, okay then, this is not going to work. So, doesn't make any sense now I become vulnerable in this situation any more than who I am.
I wouldn't have been a true Christian. I really don't think so, without God allowing me to be married. I think my finer qualities have been produced because of this platform. In terms of marriage. You made a point about vulnerability. Often what the enemy tries to do is to get us to be defensive with each other. It's almost as if we don't believe this person is in our corner. My husband and I, we had to have that discussion about strongholds in our minds. We had a lot of strongholds in our mind about each other, right? That that we become defensive with each other.
We thought that we were against each other. Because that's the picture. When there is conflict,
when there is conflict,
the first thing that comes to the enemy allows to come to our mind is that this person really don't have my best intention at all. This person is like everybody else who has a problem with me, and so you start to look at your wife or you start to look at your husband as the problem, or as a part of the problem, instead of looking at the fact that what they are saying, they might not say it the way that we want it to be said. My wife don't always say it the way that I want it to be said. Lord help me, Jesus. And I don't always say the way that she want it to be said. But at the same time, when we start to look at the bigger picture, when we start to look at the person, behavior towards us and the person personality and nature, then we will understand that this person really have a good intention towards me, in spite of the weaknesses of the frail human being, of not always saying things the right way. And so as a result of that, we become
weary of each other, defensive. Marriage should be the place that you're vulnerable, that you're vulnerable with and your partner, that you're able to just let go.
And so many persons know,
because there's a lot of hurt, we tend to be defensive with each other, because the person, even if what we do is we just build up a wall. So even when the person is saying something to us and it's positive, we don't want to hear what the person is saying, because we just believe in our mind that they're against us. The Lord had to reveal that to us, because in order to get rid of certain things, you have to deal with that. The Bible calls it strongholds in the mind, every thought that exalts itself against the word of God, because God's word said that we should love our neighbors, we love ourselves. God's word also says that no abideth faith, hope, and charity, but the greatest of these is charity. Love is patient, love is kind, love thinketh no evil, love endure all things, believe all things, hope all things, love keep no record of wrongs. That don't make sense. So therefore, love is causing us to be vulnerable. A lot of times in marriage, I have to play fool, him have to play fool, so that God can get the glory. Because remember, the purpose, we didn't even highlight this, so that we discussed, but the purpose of, if your purpose for getting married is not also to glorify God, then the marriage is just in vain.
Yes,
it has to be to glorify God. And if it is to glorify God, then when the days come when you don't feel like doing what is honorable, you're gonna glorify, because God is what is driving it.
Years ago, that if it was really for, I mean, I know I love her. I know I love her. There's no doubt about that. And I love my kids. But I said that, you know, if it was for that reason alone for me not to cheat, then trust me, I have no hope. You know, because I said it must be something greater than you and me.
Yes.
That will cause me not to cheat.
Exactly.
And that reason is God. Because when it is that teeth and tongue meet, and when it is that, you know, she's not seeing my part, and I'm not seeing her part, you know, and then all of us flustered and, you know, chaos, then guess what happened now? You're going to look for the person that is in your corner, and that is listening to you, and probably even siding with you.
Right.
And that time, trust me,
you're gonna.
So
it has to be at that time.
Be
it has to be bigger than you.
It has to be.
It has to be bigger than you, because
So men, trust me, don't let it be because of you loving your wife alone that cause you not to cheat. It must be bigger than it. The reason must be God.
Must be God.
The reason must be God. Not even your children. The reason must be God first. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, that we also restrain us. It also restrain me. But the reason is God. Number one reason is God.
Yeah. And that is why when you're picking a partner, pick somebody that loves God more than they do you. Because there are days when you're not, and I want to bring in this point. I want to really bring in this point, because it just come to me. If you notice when there's an argument in your marriage, the atmosphere becomes so tense, so thick, that you would it's almost as if in that moment you don't like the person, you hate the person, you just everything is just against, everything is just so richly negative. And that is why, for me, we try not to entertain the spirit of strife anymore.
Yes,
because we know that spirit, when she comes in, the Bible says she comes with every evil work.
Yes.
She doesn't come alone. That is why when a man and a woman has strife, then you notice murder, unforgiveness, bitterness, and that's why we have so much killing. Because when we allow strife to come in, she doesn't walk alone. The Bible says that she comes with others. She comes with every evil work. Don't entertain strife. You may look stupid. You may look like, boy, you know, so I don't have a voice. If your voice is going to cause strife, tell God what you have to say. God is able. I have been there where I feel like, boy, this man not hear me. And I haven't perfected everything, definitely. But I've recognized that God will fight for me. He will fight for me, because there are things that I used to be like, Lord, come on, you can't stay. And now, look, he has grown. He reads a lot about marriage. He listens to marital programs. You know, and I mean, you have grown.
Yes,
and it's because, honestly, I have been throwing myself at God, because I recognize that the more I'm talking about it, it's entertaining strife. It's like she's standing at my door saying, I want to come in for ripping her apart. Yeah. But then once I realize that something like that is going to happen, I decide, you know what, I'm going to stop it right here.
I believe that, you know, the Lord will work on the good desires of your heart, because I always wanted to be that type of husband that my wife prays. And it's important, you know, you can't just say, boy, you have to want to change. And while you want to change and you're praying, praying earnestly, sometimes it doesn't always happen overnight. You know, sometimes it takes time. The person that can get under your skin the most is the person that is closest to you. And who is more closer to you than your spouse? Who is more closer to you? And so you find out that you're gonna find yourself into some places that you're gonna have to forgive. And forgiveness is not from an emotional place now, you know, where you feel like forgiving, because in that time, as a matter of fact, you know, you have to learn that, you know what happened. It's not about how you feel, but it's about what you know to do is right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to say that, you know, getting the help, getting the necessary help, because that's what we're saying. When you're questioning, why did you get married? After know you're married, you have to get the help. What we have come to recognize that a lot of persons like to identify that there is a problem in their marriage,
yes,
but they are not intentional about getting help.
Yes.
I have been intentional. My husband know we go counseling, and I mean, like, when we're going counseling, it was like Monday, every Monday.
And can I tell you,
5 or 6 o'clock every Monday, and I was pregnant at the time.
Yes, I was going to say that.
Yeah, we got the help, and then there were other times.
Mr. Williams, man.
Yes, when persons had to come here, counsels were on. You know, I had support. I had friends who would sit up with me at 12 o'clock in the night, and you know, that sort of thing. We got the help. We didn't hide. We didn't hide. And you know what? A lot of people, their marriage are broken and they're going to be shattered because they need to protect something. Protect what?
Yes.
I knew that there was no perfect marriage. And I've always been confident, honestly, in the fact that everybody who comes to Christ is broken in some shape or form. Like what? Please? People just trying to pretend as if they have it all together, and they don't.
And especially us as church people.
Yes.
Because we always have something to protect. You know, we have a thing, you know, we always want to protect our...
That is the question that Mr. Williams asked us in counseling that caused a shift in our marriage. He said, who are you being married for? Are you doing it so that the church people can say something? Or are you doing it because you really want to be together? And that question really woke us up, because I started to say, why am I sticking this out? Yeah. Is it because I don't want him to say anything, or because I really...
Person will rather die in church, right? Person will rather allow their marriage to die than to speak out in churches. Yes, it's true. So many persons, but because you have an image to protect in the church, because you believe that, you know, if it is that you are struggling in your marriage, that you are less spiritual than everybody else. You
and
know,
then another thing to honey is that everybody wants to be strong.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be the strong person.
I'm sorry, I'm weak.
Like I remember when I say strong, meaning I remember when there are times I wanted to jump ship, and my husband was like, no babes, I love you, you're not going anywhere. I mean, I think that took some dying of the self, some putting down of the self to say, listen, I want this marriage to work. Even when I was saying, I don't want this, leave me alone, I don't want this, and he was there saying it's going to work. I think somebody has to be willing to die, to let go of their pride, be vulnerable, and say, listen, this marriage has to work. Everybody wants to be strong. Well, if him don't want me, make it go on about his business, and if she don't want me, make it go on. Somebody has to die so that that marriage can live, so that God can get the glory. When you got married, you thought the enemy was gonna just make you just go get married just so and just say, yeah, man, you're married and everything. No,
everything is high and dandy.
No,
you know?
He had a plan. He organized hell. He knew exactly what to bring to you guys as a team that would destroy the very foundation of the marriage. And guess what? Some of us fall for it too easy. We need to just let very good Sherry. Too much ego. Yes. Right.
And especially for us as men, you know, I must say this, that the institution of marriage, you know, we're reading the book, you know, what if God, you know, intention was to make marriage
to make us more holy than happy.
And you know, trust me, the ego that men sometimes us tend to allow ourselves to give in to, as black, so many blessings that God wants to give us in our life, but because we believe that we have to prove our point, and that's the problem. Everybody have a point, you know. There's your point, there's her point, my point, and God's point. And
God's point, and nobody
right?
hears
nobody
God's
wants
point.
to hear God's
nobody
point.
Hear God's point. That's true.
Because what happened, we have, I believe, you know, also that we have missed the purpose of marriage, the institution of marriage, and that's something that we want to explore more in the future.
Right. right, because we're gonna wrap up now.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap
but we just want to leave these points with persons who are struggling. Do get the counsel.
Yes.
Become active in linking with other couples. Do double dates. Go out. One thing that we did, when we had an active date life, because even when we never have money, we just find somewhere go, and we beg somebody keep pity them, because we have 4 children, and we would go out, because guess what, we knew that if we didn't have it right, the kids would get the repercussion of it. So our marriage was way more important than even the family, because if there is no marriage, then we can't have like a good family.
Yes.
So we would try to spend time together. So if you're struggling and you're beginning to ask yourself that question, it's because there's too much space for you to think. You need to go and explore together. And some people say money. No, anything that you value, you find money to do it.
Exactly.
If you knew you were going to be sick, like cancer or something, God forbid, the devil is a liar, you would have found the money. If you needed to pursue your career, you would have found the money. I'm not sure how you see tonight, but you're married. You can have the best career and be miserable because your spouse walk out. Because that's how marriage is. It can take a toll. We watch Lifetime movie. We see it in a life. People don't want to be in brokenness. And so you have to be intentional about making your marriage a quality marriage. You need help, get the counsel. Go out with other persons. Go when we have like workshops and stuff like that. You need to participate.
Read books.
Read books.
Learn what other persons who have been through it has to say about marriage. Align yourself with persons who have successful marriage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You need to align yourself with persons. And don't go to persons who having problem in their marriage, having problem in their relationship.
Right.
Because they're not going to give you good advice. They're going to tell you to leave that man, leave that woman.
Exactly.
And they're going to put all kind of thoughts in your mind. But you need to align yourself with persons who, even when they are going through, they're sticking it out.
And when we say quality, we're not just saying, we're not just saying living, existing.
No.
There is something about having a quality marriage. One where you feel like purpose is coming forth. One where you feel like you are being drawn closer to the Lord and the two of you are pursuing heaven together.
Yes.
It's not just about having a 9-to-5 and she cook and you cook and have good sex. And there is something about when you're pursuing a quality marriage that you come alive. It's almost as if you are being you. All of what you should be is coming forth. Because who else would you want to be pursuing heaven with than the person that you are one with, who you are most intimate with? So we want to encourage some persons. We understand that a broken marriage can be so devastating. It can be so devastating to people's lives.
It wrecks home and it also wrecks church.
Yes.
So if you don't think that you need to fix your marriage, then you can't have a good church.
True.
Whether you want to believe that or not, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
This is not fake, because there are persons on here who knew what we were like before.
Yes.
There are persons who can attest to the struggles that we had as a couple, and they're seeing the changes now. They're seeing what God is doing, and it's not anything that we're making up. So we want to help other persons like this. So this is all to the glory and the honor of Jesus Christ.
We are the imperfect, striving towards perfection in Jesus Christ, and that's what we are doing.
Only Jesus
by God's grace.
So God bless you. God bless you guys. We're logging out now.